Since the outbreak of the Israeli war on Gaza, following the devastating attacks on October 7, 2023, Gaza has faced one of the most severe humanitarian crises in recent memory. The flow of aid into the region has been a critical and often contentious issue throughout this conflict, shaping the lives of millions caught in the crossfire. In the immediate aftermath of the October attacks, Israel imposed a total blockade on Gaza, cutting off all supplies of food, water, medicine, fuel, and electricity. This blockade, which tightened an already long-lasting restriction, plunged Gaza into a dire situation almost overnight. For weeks, no aid was allowed in, leaving the civilian population desperate and vulnerable. By late October, after intense international pressure and growing alarm over the humanitarian catastrophe, Israel permitted the first aid convoys to enter Gaza. However, these shipments were far too few to meet the overwhelming needs of the population. Throughout November, a temporary ceasefire allowed a modest increase in aid deliveries, with the United Nations and various humanitarian organizations managing to bring in thousands of truckloads of essential supplies. Still, even at its peak, this aid represented only a fraction of what was desperately needed. As the conflict dragged into early 2024, the situation worsened, fighting resumed, and with it came renewed restrictions on aid access. Humanitarian agencies sounded the alarm about severe shortages, particularly in northern Gaza, where famine warnings became a grim reality, compounding the crisis. Funding a key relief organization was suspended by some international donors, further limiting their ability to respond. In response to mounting global outcry, Israel announced measures to increase aid flows in the spring of 2024, opening new crossings and allowing more trucks daily. Yet logistical challenges, ongoing violence, and strict security inspections kept the volume of aid well below pre-war levels. The United Nations warned that humanitarian operations would nearly collapse, with most of Gaza's population entirely dependent on its external existence. By mid-2024, the humanitarian crisis had reached a critical point. The European Union and other international actors repeatedly called for more consistent and unhindered aid access. Despite some improvements, bottlenecks and security concerns persisted, limiting the impact of relief efforts. Aid convoys and distribution centers faced constant risk, with tragic incidents involving the death of aid workers adding to the complexity and danger. A partial ceasefire brokered in early 2025 brought hope for a more stable flow of aid. The agreement called for hundreds of truckloads of food, fuel, and medical supplies to enter Gaza daily, with strict Israeli inspections in place. However, even with this deal, aid deliveries remained inconsistent. Allegations surfaced that aid was being used as leverage in broader political negotiations, and the looming threat of renewed conflict kept the humanitarian situation fragile. Today, as of July 7, 2025, Gaza remains heavily dependent on international aid. Millions of Palestinians continue to face food insecurity, limited access to clean water, and critical shortages of medical supplies. The scars of the war run deep, and while aid has saved countless lives, the path to recovery and peace remains uncertain. This ongoing crisis is a stark reminder of the devastating human cost of conflict and the vital importance of humanitarian access. The world watches slowly, hoping for a lasting resolution that will allow Gaza's people to rebuild their life in safety and dignity.